Hi, welcome to Pro Stitcher Designer Tips and Tricks. Today I'm going to talk to you about the backdrop tool. I'm going to show two of the most common ways that I think that you're going to be using it. The first one is to see what a design would look like on your quilt before you even stitch one single stitch in it. So the first thing that you're going to need to do is to take a picture of your quilt and save it to your computer. So I've got a picture on my computer, and I'm going to make sure I'm on my Tools tab, and then I'm going to the right side of the screen and I'm clicking on the backdrop tool. Now I can choose either select or load, it doesn't matter, either one works. So I'm choosing select, then you need to navigate to where you saved the picture of your quilt. So here's the picture of my quilt, and I double clicked on it. Well, sometimes if you're like me, the pictures that you take aren't exactly straight. And if it's not straight, that's going to impact how you're able to look at the design and how it fits into your quilt. So one of the nice features that the backdrop tool has, if you click on it, is to define the horizon. Now watch really closely what happens to my mouse arrow when I select that. Click on it and it turns into a plus sign. Now what you need to do is go all the way to your left side of your picture. It's nice to have the grid turned on so that you can turn on and make sure you click on one of the lines, the horizontal lines, left click and hold your mouse down and drag it all the way to the other side of your quilt. Now I know that this picture is straight, but what I'm going to do is move it just a little bit down so that you can see how the backdrop tool's in defining the horizon. When I release my finger off of the mouse, did you see that? The backdrop tool slightly moved it to make it where the quilt picture is going to be straight. Well, it will just pretend that made it straight. So I'm going to undo what I just did. Do you remember how to do that with the keyboard shortcuts? That's holding the Control key down and tapping the Z key. There, it's undone. Now, I don't know if you watched the video about the rulers, the ruler tips that I've made. If you'll right click on your ruler, you get a pop-out menu with all of these options. So now that I know that the horizon is set straight, I don't want the grids to show because that makes it difficult to see my design when I put it over the quilt. So I'm clicking on that so that it will take the grid off. And now I am going to use the scroll wheel on my mouse, and I'm just kind of zooming out a little bit to make it smaller. And now I'm using the pan tool to move my picture to the side. So the next thing you need to do is open up your designs. So underneath the sequence panel over here, click on the design icon, and it will bring up a list of all of the designs that you've got on your computer. So here, I like Anne Bright. I like a lot of her designs. So I'm going to pick two of her block designs. The first one is the Denali 2 block. I'm just clicking and holding down my finger and dragging it to the screen over the design window. And now I'm scrolling down a little bit for the next design that I want, and it's called Soft and Sweet. I've used that on several quilts that I've done for people, and we have really liked it. So this is a big design, and I'm going to resize it to make it smaller so that I can fit it over the black block on the quilt. And I'm going to resize that one. And you'll notice that this black block, I'll say that 10 times, this black block is a square on point, so it makes it a diamond. So I need to rotate these two blocks because they are still a square. So going up to the Modify tab and then click on Rotate 45, and it really doesn't matter whether it's left or right. And that looks like it's still big, so I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. I'm clicking on the other design, and I'm going up to rotate 45. And there it's rotated. And that looks a little bit too big. So I'm just going to make that smaller, a little bit smaller. And now I'm just going to drag the design and place it over one of the black blocks. But you know, I can't see what that design looks like. The design color is lighter, or it's about the same color as the black. I can't see it. That's where the backdrop tool can really help. So I need to go back to my Tools tab and over to the Backdrop tool, and then I go to Define Scale. In this box over here, it will have Adjust Lightness. You'll notice that the slider tab is all the way to the darker side. Left click on the slider and drag it over closer to the lighter side, and then release your finger from the mouse. And remember, anything you do, you're going to have to say apply. So I'm clicking apply. And did you notice how it made the picture of the quilt lighter? And now I can see how that design looks on the quilt. That's pretty clever. It's pretty nice. Okay, so what happens when I want to get rid of that picture of the quilt? Go back up to the Backdrop tool and then drag down to Delete, and it will delete your picture of your quilt. Now, the second way that you'll probably use the Backdrop tool is to create a pattern based on some of the fabric that you've used in your quilt top. So I've got another design window open here, and this fabric is a fabric called Happy Chance, and it's by Laura Hine. I think it is so cute, so pretty. I love the bright colors, I love the flowers. So I want to make a design based on this orange flower. So I'm going to zoom in so I can see it, and I'm moving it so that it's centered more on the quilt, on my screen. And then I'm going to select the pencil tool, and I'm going to start drawing around it. Now, if you have a tablet that you're using, a lot of the tablets come with a pen, and you can use that. And sometimes it's easier drawing with a pen than with your mouse. And so I'm using a mouse right now, so don't be too critical of what my design is going to look like. Oops, I forgot to go down between. Oh well. So here I am going around the petals and almost done here. Oh boy, that's a really crazy. And I'm almost finished there, and now I'm just going to go around a circle so that I can get done fast here. So now that I've drawn around it, I want to make the backdrop lighter so I can see what my design looks like. So I'm going back to my Backdrop tool to Define Scale. I'm left clicking on the slider and dragging it to the right. And then I'm saying apply. And there I can see what my design looks like, and then I can adapt it and make any changes that I want. And then I can save it and then stitch it on the quilt so that I will have a design that I've quilted that matches the design of the fabric. Well, I hope you'll have lots of fun using the Backdrop tool. Thanks for watching Pro Stitcher Designer Tips and Tricks.
Odia.com